All right, we're going live. See if we get a few folks to join us here. Looks like there's a few in the chat room. If you're here, don't forget to use the chat feature there and throw any questions out. We're going to get started right at 5 o'clock, but I thought I'd jump on here a little bit before just to make sure we don't have any technology issues or any problems with our live feed. This is the first time we've done a YouTube live feed. We're probably going to do YouTube live feeds going forward. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're going to want to definitely do that. We've been a little slow in producing new videos, but we have a bunch of ideas of videos we want to shoot, and we've just need to spend a little more time getting them edited and out there. So if you want to hear about what's going on at the Flint Hills Trail or at the bike shop, check out our YouTube feed. We're hoping to kind of expand on that. But we got one more minute before we get started, but I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about a couple of other things that are coming up at the bike shop that you may not be aware of. Tomorrow morning, we have our Bike Across Kansas training ride, 67 miles on paved roads. That's kind of unusual for our regular group rides, but we've got a 67-mile paved route tomorrow. We have 3 checkpoints along the way where you can get water and any support you need. So hopefully the weather will be nice tomorrow and we can get a great ride in. So if you want to join us, it's completely free. Just show up tomorrow morning between 8 and 9, and we'll have waffles and coffee as we always do on Saturday morning. And then at 9 o'clock, we'll start the ride. So hopefully you can join us for that. The other thing, there's a lot of things coming up for biking across Kansas. For Unbound, which is in just a couple of weeks. And we've got a whole schedule of events the week of Unbound. So you might want to join us for that. One of the big things that we're most excited about is we're having Kevin Prentice come to the shop, and we're going to do a shop talk with him. And we'll also be doing a live feed of that. So on YouTube. So you'll be able to check that out if you can't make it to the shop. That's May 31st, Wednesday. Kevin Prentice, who is an Ottawa native and also has been with Ride with GPS for 10 years, and he's a director there, and he's going to talk about Ride with GPS and also bikes and growing up in Ottawa. So don't want to miss that. The other thing, last thing I want to mention before we get started on Moonrise Bike Ride is registration for the Bad Astra race. The race itself is September 30th. Jeremiah, the race director, is over here giving me hand signals. September 30th, and you're going to want to register early for that. We've got some prizes we're going to give away. We're going to be doing another live feed next weekend when registration opens a week from this Saturday. And you want to get registered for that if you're thinking about doing Bad Astra, because you can win some prizes just like we're doing here for Moonrise Bike Ride. So with that, looks like we're getting a few people in the chat room and a few people participating here. So we are going to go ahead and get started and talk about Moonrise Bike Ride. So let me if you wouldn't mind, if somebody's participating, if you wouldn't mind just trying a chat so we can make sure that functionality is working for us, that would be really helpful. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So Moonrise Bike Ride, got a sticker here from that. Basically, what I wanted to do with this live feed is 2 things. One is tell you all about Moonrise Bike Ride. Some of you I know have participated before, and others are maybe thinking about it, and you don't really know everything there is to know about it. So we want to tell you about it, give you kind of the lay of the land, let you know what the different options are for the ride so that you can make a decision about how you want to participate. So I'm going to go through kind of the outline of it. We're not going to talk about every detail in this video just because we want to save some surprises. And frankly, there's a few things we still have to work out. But the general outline of the event, we've been doing it for 5 years, and every year we've sort of honed the formula and grown it and made it bigger and better every year. So I think for our 5th year, it's going to be no exception. We're going to have a lot of great things, and we really, I think you're going to love the plans that we've made up for it. So we want to talk about that, but also we want to do a giveaway at the end of this. We're going to do a early registration drawing. So if you are registered for the event, and if you were registered before noon today, you are entered in the drawing, and we're going to be drawing for a brand new Moonrise Bike Ride jersey. This is the first year we've designed a jersey for the event, and we're going to be giving one of those away today. Unfortunately, I don't have the jersey to show you because we haven't placed the order yet, but the lucky winner will be able to get one of the first jerseys for the event. So we'll do the drawing at the end. But before we, so let's go ahead and get started. And feel free, if I see there are some questions or some people in the chat room here. So if you have a question, feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll try to answer it either as we go or maybe save it till the end. So feel free to do that. So the first thing is the dates for Moonrise Bike Ride this year. So we are in August. It's August 18th, 19th, and 20th. And I was thinking today it's raining outside really bad. And our first few events were in May. We happened to have one year it just completely got rained out, and we moved it to August. And man, after looking at the weather today, I'm sure glad we did that, because August so far, knock on wood, has been a really good time for the event, and the weather's just been great. So hopefully this year will be no exception. But this is, again, our 5th year, and we think it's a pretty unique event. There's a lot of gravel races around. There's a lot of sort of, group rides around, but we've come up with, we think, a little bit of a unique formula. The Moonrise Bike Ride is a bike festival, bikepacking festival, but it's also a music festival. We have 4 bands lined up that'll be playing for you. It's also a barbecue or food festival. We have great food, and all of that is included in your price of admission for Moonrise Bike Ride. So it's all of those things together, as well as just a great time with great people and a great time to sort of build the community. So that's sort of what we set out to do, is make a unique bicycling event here in Kansas. And I think we've achieved that. The other thing about it is it's a beginner-friendly bikepacking event. One of the things we wanted to do is give people encouragement to get out on their bikes for overnight trips. And so we've set the event up so that it's really beginner-friendly. For example, if you don't want to load your bike up completely and carry everything on your bike, we will transport your gear for you from the beginning to the event and back. So for first timers, if you've never done that, never camped out overnight on your bike, maybe you don't have completely lightweight equipment that'll fit on your bike, we make that easy. So really all you have to be willing to do is ride your bike to the event and stay overnight and ride back, and we'll handle everything else. So it's, from a bike packing perspective, it's really very beginner friendly. It's also, if you want to carry all your own gear and you want to go the whole 9 yards and be self-supported, it's also great for that as well. And it's a great to bring both of those groups together so that the folks that maybe aren't as experienced can learn from the people that have some experience. So that's the other thing. We really want to promote the whole idea of getting on your bike and doing an adventure and staying in nature overnight, and all of that self-propelled. So that's the whole idea. And the other thing great about this event, we think, is it's all on the Flint Hills Trail State Park and the Pomona Lake State Park. So if you do the event, you're going to get a great view of both of those parks. And we've had a great relationship with Kansas Wildlife and Parks in putting this event together. And so it's a good chance to see all of the hard work that's gone into these trails and take advantage of that. So that's the whole idea of Moonrise Bike Ride. Somebody just asked, can your family come and meet you at the lake and not cycle? Absolutely. I'll get into that a little bit when we talk about the different options, but that's the other thing. It is a family friendly event. People call and ask, are kids invited? And I'm like, the kids are encouraged. It's a family friendly event. Other folks ask, can you bring your dog? And absolutely, we encourage that as well. So whatever you're comfortable with. And there are opportunities for the cyclist. And then if you're a non-cyclist, you can get a evening only ticket that basically allows you to participate as a non-cyclist. So we'll get into that a little bit in just a minute. So let me talk a little bit about the logistics of this. So one of the things that might be a little bit confusing is that there are two different options for Moonrise Bike Ride. One is a 2-night option, and we call that our campfire option. And the other is a single night option, which we call our main event option. So most people are going to participate in the main event. It's one night, ride out to Pomona Lake State Park from Ottawa and ride back. The 2-night event, the campfire event, extends that and starts on Friday night or Friday afternoon, actually, in Council Grove. And so I'm going to talk about the campfire option first, and then the main event, because they kind of all fill in the whole weekend. Starts on Friday with the campfire option, then it rolls into the main event, and then that's kind of the full weekend. So I'm going to go through it chronologically so you can kind of understand how we put the weekend together and talk about both of those things. So I'm just going through my notes here, make sure I don't miss anything. All right, so let me start with how the weekend's laid out. We start with the campfire option, which starts in Council Grove. So in the afternoon in Council Grove, everyone who's doing the 2-night campfire option, we meet at the local brewery there, Riverbank Brewing Company, and that's where everything kicks off. And we spend a few hours there hanging out. It's a great environment. If you've never been there, it's a great chance to experience that brewery. But we do check in there, and everybody gets loaded, gets their bikes together, and that's really where we launch the event, the campfire option from Council Grove, Riverbank Brewing. We leave later in the afternoon, and we head down the Flint Hills Trail to a place called Base Camp Flint Hills in Allen, Kansas. And that is a beautiful spot right on the trail in the Flint Hills. Our friends, Darius and Amy, who run Base Camp Flint Hills, we've had a great relationship working with them to use that as the first night of our campfire option. So we ride there. It's about a 20-mile ride. We set up camp at their spot, and that when we start the evening festivities. So at that time, we're going to have dinner for everybody. So including your ticket, we'll have a catered dinner that night for everyone, along with our musical act for that night, which this year is Sally and the Hertz. So Sally and the Hertz will be playing for us that evening, and we also have a campfire, and it'll just be a great hangout. That event, usually last year we had, I think, about 30 people participate in that event, and we've capped that to 45 just because that's about how many people we can support at Base Camp Flint Hills. So that's the first night. Everybody shows up at Base Camp Flint Hills, and we have dinner, music, and then everybody hits the sack. And then in the morning, we have breakfast. So the local nonprofit in Allen, Kansas is hosting our breakfast in the morning on Saturday morning. So that's also included in the price of admission. So if you get that campfire ticket, that's what you're gonna see. So that brings us into Saturday morning, and the group at Base Camp Flint Hills can get up at their leisure, figure out when they want to continue on, and they're going to continue down the Flint Hills Trail to Pomona Lake State Park, where we'll have the main event. So that group will continue on. There is another option if you want to do the main event and you can't get there Friday for the campfire option. You can also start in Council Grove on Saturday morning and ride all the way to Pomona Lake State Park. That's about a 50-mile ride. So, if you want the full Flint Hills experience and you can only do the overnight, you can start in Council Grove and ride out to Pomona Lake State Park. So that's sort of the story on the western end of the event. And that group will get to Pomona Lake State Park. Any questions about that before I move on to the main event? Doesn't look like we have any questions yet. Sorry about the background noise. We have a working bike shop here with the dog and all kinds of activities, so that's good. All right, so that's the campfire option. That's the Council Grove start for the main event. So now I want to get into a little bit more about Saturday and the main event, the Ottawa to Pomona Lake State Park portion of the event. So that's going to start in the afternoon on Saturday. Last year we opened up registration at noon, but I think this year we're going to start an hour earlier, and we'll open up registration for that at 11. And so you basically, if you're doing that part of the event, the main event, show up in Ottawa in the afternoon, get registered here at Ottawa Bike and Trail. Hopefully you'll hang out on Main Street a little bit, maybe go down to Not Lost Brewing Company. The idea there is we want to support the local businesses here in Ottawa, let them see all of you all out on your bike. So that's, sort of the afternoon. We kind of hang out in downtown Ottawa. And then by 3:00, we'll have the launch and get everybody going out towards Pomona Lake State Park. And that is a 20-mile ride and on the Flint Hills Trail, and it's super easy. So if you're a beginning bike packer and you're not really interested in doing the full ride from Council Grove, this is a great way to do it. 20 miles to Pomona Lake State Park, and it's a leisurely ride. You can leave at 3. Some folks will leave a little bit early and get there, but it's a really nice leisurely ride out to the state park. So that group last year, I think we had about 100 and maybe 20 people on that group. So it's really nice to have a big group heading out that way, and you can ride with a lot of people. You're not going to be alone. So it's a really easy ride. So once that group and the group from Council Grove, they'll start to converge on the main event at Pomona Lake State Park. Once you enter the park, you'll go to our location, which is new this year. Last year and the years before, we had done it at the Southwind Shelter. This year, we're really excited. We're moving locations within the park to the marina. And it's just a little bit further into the park, real easy to find. But we're setting up at the marina this year. They have a stage, so we will be able to have our musical talent participating or performing from the stage. And then we have a beautiful camping area that's right along the lake that overlooks the lake that you'll be able to set up your tents. So everybody arrives, set up their tents, and we'll start the music up. Generally, people get there around 5, depending on sort of where they started and how fast they rode. But right around 5, they'll get set up, and that's when the music will start. I'll talk a little bit about the bands we have coming up. But before I do that, just a few things about the camping part of this. So, you do have to bring your own camping gear, of course. But as I said earlier, you can load it on your bike or we can haul it for you. So just regular camping gear, a tent, a sleeping bag, whatever you need just to, spend the night. That's really all you have to bring. You might want to bring a lawn chair if you're having us bring your gear just so you have something to sit on. But, we'll haul all of that. So both with the Council Grove start and with the Ottawa start, when you check in, you'll just let us know that we're going to be carrying your luggage, and we'll have a place for you to store that, and then we will haul it out there for you. So hopefully if all of the logistical things work out, when you arrive at the park, your luggage will be there. You'll grab it, set it up, and take care of it from there. Likewise, on the return trip, we'll have a place for you to put it, and we'll haul it back to your starting point. And, hopefully last year went very smoothly, no issues with it. And that's how we kind of make it easy for folks that don't want to carry everything. All right, so let me get to a couple of other details about the main event. As I said, we have 3 bands lined up to play there. This year, we're starting with a group called the Wettest Skirts, and they're a Kansas band, all-female band. They're bringing a friend with them this year, Kelsey Kimberlin, who's also a musician that's going to play with them. And we're super excited about them. We've been trying to get the Wettest Skirts to lined up to play for a long time, and we finally worked it out. This year, they're going to be our main event starting band, and that'll start around 5 once we start getting everybody arrived at the park. So following them will be a group called Ma. This is also an all-female bluegrass band from Lawrence. They are a super fun band, and they are you're going to love them. They're crazy. They're great musicians, and it will be a wild time with Ma. We're really looking forward to them as well. And then our last band is called the Match Sellers. And if you were at Moonrise Bike Ride last year, you're familiar with the Match Sellers. Julie and Andrew, the founders of the Match Sellers, were there last year as a duo. This year, they're bringing the full band, and they just came out with an album. called Wishful Thinkers Hall of Fame, and they're going to be playing music off of that album. And I think they're going to end up the night, and that's going to be a super fun, entertaining time. So all three of those bands kind of play back to back while you're getting set up, and also while you're having dinner. So that's the other great part of this event is we have a great catered dinner again lined up. We're still working out all the details on that, but generally it involves some sort of barbecued dinner, and we're working the menu out on that. So you'll stay tuned for details on that, but we know you won't be disappointed with that. It's always a great dinner. So that'll be the other part of the evening. So once the music and dinner is all done, we have a great evening with that. Excuse me. We wrap it up with a bike ride around under the stars around the state park. So that's a really good time. Everybody puts lights on, and we group up and ride around the park. And it's always a super fun, magical night, seeing all of those lights going around the park. So that's sort of how we end up the evening, and then everybody goes to their tents and spends the night. And with that, then we get into the final part, which is breakfast in the morning. Again, that's catered. We'll have breakfast and coffee for everybody Sunday morning before everyone heads back. So the folks that started in Council Grove will head off towards Council Grove. The folks that started in Ottawa will head back to Ottawa. And that's where we wrap up sometime on Sunday. So that's sort of the lay of the land for the event. I know that's a lot of details, a lot of logistics, but don't worry if you didn't take good notes. It's not necessary. We have a very detailed event guide that we're putting on our website, so it'll have everything you need to know for the weekend, and we try to make it as easy as possible on you with all the logistics. All right, so if you have any questions, now is the time to ask them before we get to the drawing part of this. I'll talk about a few more things. Questions that always come up: what kind of bike do I need? And the answer is pretty much any bike will do. The Flint Hills Trail is very, very easy trail. It's almost like pavement. A little soft in a few places, softer than pavement, but any bike will work. A road bike might be a little bit more difficult, but if you can put a bigger tire on it, any tire over maybe 28 millimeters, 30 millimeters, those are all work great. So you can ride a mountain bike, you can ride a gravel bike, of course, or any kind of bike that you want, really. So the question is really how much do you want to carry and how do you want to load up, and that's what we can help you with. So, all right. So let me make sure I answered the question here. Can your family come and meet you at the lake and not cycle? The answer is yes. And the way you do that is you buy a evening only ticket for your family members. So the person who's riding will buy the regular ticket, and anybody who wants to just show up that evening and have access to dinner can buy an evening only ticket. So that's how you do that. The other question is, people sometimes want to bring their campers and park out at the park, and all of that is just fine. You just need to contact Pomona Lake State Park and get a reservation for your trailer, and handle it that way. All right, so that is the details of the event. One other detail, I guess the most important one, is how do I register? If you have not already registered, just go to moonrisebikeRide.com, and we've got a registration link there, and you can select the different option. Really, the main decision you have to make is, do you want to do the 2-night or the 1-night? And that's really all you have to decide at this point. All right, so do we have any other questions? I don't really know how to tell if anybody's in the chat, so hopefully this. Are you seeing me? Okay. All right. So let's do this. Let's do the drawing now. I have this bag here, has all of the names inside of it. And I have a couple of customers here that might want to. You guys want to help me with this? One of you guys want to come draw a name out of this hat or this bag for me? All right. I've got a little helper here. He's going to come help me out. What's your name?
Isaiah.
Isaiah? How old are you?
10.
10? All right. Do you like to bike?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see if we can see you here. Yeah, you're tall enough. All right, Isaiah. Here, let's back up just a bit so you can see a bit. All right. So this is a drawing we're doing for one of our jerseys. And so whatever name you draw out, they're going to win a free jersey. All right. So I've shaken them all up. Put your arm in there and just pull one out. If you pull two, it'll be a problem. So just pull one up. There you go. All right. You want to read it? Read their name. Kara Rachel. Wow, Kara Rachel won. I think her birthday is right around Moonrise Bike Ride time. So there it is, Kara Rachel. You won a jersey. I know I'm going to probably see you tomorrow, so I'll let you know if you're not on. All right. So do we have any other questions before we wrap this up? I don't see any. I must have done a good job of explaining everything. Either that or you're all bored to tears and you've fallen asleep. Nope. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time. Be sure and join us for our next live stream, which is in a few weeks. And somebody just said, great video. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for chatting, and we appreciate all your support, and hope you get registered if you're not registered already. We want to have you with us for Moonrise Bike Ride. All right, we're done. Thank you. Boom. Sorry about it.